Well, here we are back again, reviewing Final Space, and we're on the last hurdle bit here, so let's get on with it. So, let's go on to episode 9, The Closer You Get. So, this episode I had many mixed feelings about when first watching it, and I still kind of do. So, you've got two plots running simultaneously that both heavily link to each other. So, obviously from the end of the last episode, we've got Avocado back. Yes, he is back. Sort of, maybe. But he doesn't remember anything. Except this establishes very quickly that he's going to get his memory back. And he does. In this episode. Yeah, by basically beating the shit out of him.
How do we get Avocado to recover his memory?
On my planet, if you forgot something, they'd tie you up and beat you with pain sticks until you remembered. And you did. You always did.
What the hell is this?
Remember! Remember us! Remember me! And me!
Don't try to remember me! We've never met!
The problem I have with this whole memory loss thing is that I thought at least they'd maybe play it out a bit longer. But no, he remembers in about 15-ish minutes into this episode. He then remembers everything.
I remember.
Dad?
Son.
And it's just to the point where... Why? Why make him lose... his memory? Was it just so you could have a cliffhanger, ending at the end of the previous episode? Because if that was the case, yeah, probably fair enough. But even though, it just feels a bit wasted, the fact that there's so many things you could have done with it and kind of, explored the relationship of trying to regain it between him and Gary and him and his son, and even the other characters, but no, you just kind of threw that all away. So the memory loss thing was kind of pointless in the end. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, is it done for a dramatic reason? Which I will get into in a second. Dunno, but yeah, So, Avocado, throughout this episode, starts to remember, bits and bits and bits, until he remembers everything in the roundabout the 15-ish minute mark. And one of those things he remembers is the Lord Commander taking him to this pool, which, if you were going to the pool, that you can speak to people in Final Space. So obviously Gary, wants to go contact Quinn that way. So they go off to go find this pool. And I'm just kind of thinking, okay, why? I mean, I thought the whole point was you're trying to find the keys. Wouldn't finding the keys, be more of a use than taking, the advice of this person who, yes, they were, your best friend, but at the moment they're not, because they've completely lost their memory. For all you know, they could be full of shit, and this could be a betrayal, or they're just misremembering things wrong. But you're going to do it anyway. Okay, I guess. Fine, let's get on with it. So yeah, Gary goes into this whirlpool thing, and it's a good excuse to have a bit of a trippy dream sequence. Well, I say dream sequence. It's not a dream. It is a dream, and it's just a bit odd, frankly. And to be honest, I quite like the visuals on this. It makes it feel, a bit more surreal. But it turns out that Quinn, he does come into contact with Quinn, and Quinn does not exactly want Gary here because, evil Titan entity thing wanted him to come here and is going to take over Gary's body. Yeah. So the entity does take over Gary's body, and by this point Avocado has remembered everything, and he's able to pin down Gary, and then he goes, actually, you're a lot stronger than this person. I'm going to take over you instead. And actually, yeah, that's pretty smart for an entity. It is. So it does exactly that. And this is the point we get to. Oh, am I going to talk about this? Yes, of course I'm going to talk about this. So yeah, Avocado gets, taken over by this entity, and it's whispering things into his head, and he's not him at the minute.
Turned him against you. Kill him. Kill him.
Dad?
Avocado?
You stole my son away from me. You left me to die.
Dad, what are you doing?
Killing a no-good thief.
And, it's this Titan entity, whatever the fuck it is gonna make him shoot Gary. Because it's telling him, look, Gary stole your son from you, he's not a true friend, and everything. And, obviously, Lil Kato is there trying to talk him out of it, but, yeah, there's no way of talking him out of it, unfortunately. I do like the fact that it isn't a long way you can just simply talk the person out of it. This thing is powerful. A normal person cannot just easily, take back control. They might be able to resist for a bit longer, which is clearly what's happening here. He's able to resist long enough, to not flat out take a shot at Gary, although he does take a couple. So Gary, has taken a couple shots, but it's not fatal. Not fully fatal. But, Lil Car has to shoot his dad.
Please! I'm sorry.
You are no son of mine.
I am your son. I am. Always will be.
I will find you, and I will kill you.
You aren't my father.
Neither is he!
In order to stop him from shooting Gary. And this is going to be an interesting thing that leads into the next episode. But then Avocado is taken away into, final space, the abyss, the fucking black thing pulling him down. And this is where I find the point of, what was the point in that, to be honest? Because you bring him back at the end of one episode, then just get rid of him at the start of the next. The problem is that now that does not hold the same impact. It feels like it's trying to, do a Final Space Season 1 Chapter 6 where, oh my god, this character is gone and that, and we will probably never see them again. Except, in this case, Final Space Season 2 has ruined that, because I know fully well that Avocado can come back. It's shown that he's not dead at the end. So, yeah, and even if he was shot and did die, this series proves that, death isn't a final thing. It isn't finite in this. So, yeah, when characters die, it doesn't have that same impact anymore. And this was something I was talking about last time, and this episode proved it, because I wasn't going, oh no, Avocado, no. I was just going, it's only a matter of time before they bring him back. Maybe not this season, maybe not the next, probably the next, or even if it's in the finale. But it's not the last we've seen of him. No, it's not. And the fact that he is voiced by the creator's best friend, Olin Rogers' best friend voices Avocado. Yeah, he's not going to stay out of this for particularly a long period of time. So, This episode feels like it needed a B plot to it, because it just feels like one concept that should be an overarching theme in episodes like the memory loss with Avocado, and the whole thing of, you know, who does little Kato see more as a fatherly figure to him kind of thing, and it just feels like it's a bit hollow in this episode. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy Avocado being back, but it's not the Avocado that we knew in Season 1 until, you know, we only get about a minute of that at most at the end, and it just kind of feels a bit pointless in the end. So this episode, it was decent enough, but it just feels utterly pointless. You do this whole hype of bringing Avocado back, and then you just get rid of him the next episode. Is it supposed to be a dramatical impact or not? Not sure. But it just kind of feels pointless, to be honest. It would have been more dramatic to get him back in the same episode, then lose him again in the same episode. It would be just to carry him over for one, because of all the interesting things you could have gone in this direction, you decide really to do next to none of that. It does help evolve Lil Kato's character a little bit more, but other than that, not really. So this one is a very... I don't think it's bad or hate or anything, but I'm just disappointed of the concept and how much they could have done with this episode. Okay, so now we get on to episode 10, The Lost Spy. So, this episode starts with Lil Kato doing another vanishing act and running away because, I don't know, whatever fucking reason he decides on this time to be, you know, an angsty teen.
Gary, if you're seeing this, then you're alive, and you know that I'm gone. Some things you can't come back from. I shot my father. I don't belong here, or anywhere anymore. I'm going as far away as I can, and please, don't come after me.
We're going after him.
I knew you'd say that, so I recorded a second message to say, for real, do not come after me.
I'm getting pretty sick of this trope, actually. And to be honest, the reasons why, I thought we went through this already. I thought we'd gotten past this stage. But apparently not. We're doing this whole again where Lil Kato feels like, you know, he's failed everyone and he doesn't deserve to be with the rest of them, yada yada, so goes to join some assassins.
I want in.
This little Ventrixian wants to bounty hunt with the Burner tribe.
I'll prove myself. Give me a name, any name, and I'll track him down. All right. Oh, you don't think I got the goods?
And what makes you think you can hunt?
It's in my blood. Do I have an assignment or not?
Sure. You know, once you join us, you're in for life, right?
Yeah.
That is all of your days.
We go after the biggest bounty on the market now. Gary Goodspeed. You in?
Sure thing. Gonna be easy murdering this guy that I have no emotional connection to.
Yay! The good thing is, though, this episode, unlike the previous episode, actually has a full separate B plot, which is actually pretty entertaining, pretty interesting. So we've got Clarence, who, with him and Fox and the rest of his family, they go to, well, this castle thing where the Queen has this crown that is, you know, Clarence wants that crown, essentially, because it'd be worth money. And Clarence likes money. So Clarence decides that he's going to marry the Queen And so he can get all this royalty shit. And to be honest, it is pretty entertaining, and especially the lengths that he'll go. For example, at one point he tells Fox to shove him into the uterus of this Queen Deli monster thing in order to hide him from the royal guards. And, it actually is pretty funny, to be honest. It actually is pretty funny, and it is good that, you know, this episode actually did make me laugh a bit. Because some of the jokes in Final Space, a lot of them don't. Normally Final Space, to me, shines more when it's more dramatic and more of a character piece than anything else. But, you know, this one actually did have some good jokes and decent humour in it, and the fact that it felt more like a writer's room where there was a joke after a joke and, you know, just kept building up and up. The actual Little Kato plot, which you think is going to be the bulk of the episode, doesn't take up a huge amount, actually. To be honest, it's basically as soon as they find Little Kato, you know, that's pretty much it. They're done and dusted. But it does have a pretty good ending to it. So the ending to this one is that Gary finally, you know, Quinn basically tells Gary that, look, you know, Little Kato, you're not really committing, you know, very much to him in the way that you could be. Although Gary understandably thinks, I'm doing all I can, I'm not sure what else to do. And to be fair, I was kind of thinking the same way. What more do you want Gary to do? You know, he's already, you know, been treating Little Kato, you know, the best to his ability, and trying to look after him to the best abilities and raise him as much as he knows. Because, you know, Gary isn't particularly... is only about, you know, just over a decade or so older than him. I mean, I don't know his actual age, but I know Little Kato's, you know, 14. So let's say, I don't know, Gary's... well, like I say, he's been in space for 5 years. Let's say he's 28, 29, or 30-ish. So yeah, not... so basically just about double his age, but it's still not a huge amount. And, you know, he's gotten thrown on this responsibility, so he's doing a pretty good job, better than most would, to be honest, in that kind of position. But the thing that gets Little Kato to come back is Gary gives this, you know, speech about, yeah, I fuck up, you know, but we can try and make it better, blah, 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 and you're thinking, oh, yeah. And then he says, look, what if I adopt you?
Just stay! What do you say I adopt you?
What?
What?
I mean, only if you want, like a, you know, rental dad until we get your actual dad back, or like a vice dad.
You want to be my dad?
Go to him. Be loved.
I mean, you don't have to change your name to Little Goodspeed or...
You see that, guys? First there was no family, and then there was one, like us. That's the power of magic.
Excuse me, but yeah, can I just? Oh, that's nice.
And that's what makes Little Kato come back. Yes, because Gary, you know, wants to be his dad. And you know what, I quite like this, although I find it surprising that, you know, I actually was talking to this with a friend about that, and someone said, oh, I thought Gary had adopted Little Kato. I thought that was the whole point of what happened in the first season. And I was kind of like, yeah, kind of. But it was like an unofficial thing, and I'm guessing now that, you know, he's saying that, presumably he, you know, does properly adopt him. that maybe it's more of a commitment, I guess. But it's a nice thing. I mean, technically, he doesn't really need adopting. He doesn't need adopting, Little Kato. I mean, he, is 14 and that he's not far off being an adult by this point. Not that far off being an adult. At least, I'm assuming. I don't know what, is of interesting adult age, but I'll assume it's 18. It's still a nice little thing that, is done in this episode, but it kind of just makes me feel like maybe this should have been done a bit earlier on. Maybe, I mean, it makes me feel like the whole losing Avocado thing and bringing Avocado back was to just set up this plot of Gary adopting Little Kato. Unfortunately, after this episode, it never really plays into it anymore. Because after this episode, they just continue to, act completely the same to each other as they were. Nothing's really changed with the relationship about this. And some people may argue, maybe it's different writers, but Olin Rogers, he has a writing credit for every single episode in the series. Presumably, he probably comes up with a lot of the ideas and that for these episodes, and then it's kind of a writer's room kind of thing. So, it just seems weird that this is here and they just, we kind of forget about that thing of, he's adopted him. Because there's not really a point where he's ever given, a kind of fatherly advice kind of thing. He has in a sort of, friendship kind of way, but never a fatherly way. And it could have been an interesting thing that I feel, again, could have been a bit wasted. And that, but, I mean, it was a nice moment. And I did, enjoy it, but I don't know what else they're going to do with this relationship if they're not going to go into, the adopted son dynamic kind of thing. I'm not sure where they can really progress this a bit more. But still, this was a fun little episode, to be honest. And, I don't really have bad things to say about it, to be honest. It did exactly what it needed to do. I just feel like, again, it kind of makes the previous episode feel kind of pointless, and the reasons for Little Kato running away are kind of iffy, but it was fine. Okay, so episode 11, the setup. This is where the plot actually starts up again. Yeah, I know. Weird. So, something I neglected to mention at the last episode is we have Gary's mother teaming up with... who the fuck are you again? I forgot his name. Be back in a sec. Oh, and just one more thing about episode 10. We get the return of Tribor again, who kind of went away and then came back again. Yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned that or not. But I'll be honest, when he came up again, I was just like, oh yeah, he's back. Great. But then we find out that who he is in love with. Now, the way it was sort of pandered in season 1 is that, was he, in love with Quinn? Was he in love with himself? Did he have an attraction to anyone? And in this episode...
I'm in love with someone you can never compare to.
Who is it?
Someone with a perfect body, magnetic charm, flawless green skin, 6 eyes, this scarf. Tell me when you start to get it, sweetheart.
Wait a minute. Are you in love with yourself?
Every 6 months, my gender changes from male to female. The male me is in love with the female me, and the female me has the hots for the male me. But I've only got one set of goods at a time. So I'm friends with myself without benefits. It's tearing me apart, Shannon!
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
We get a bit of backstory about his species. In the fact that every 6 months or so, he changes genders. Did Tumblr write this one? So, his male self is in love with his female self, and his female self is in love with his male self. And obviously, you know, he can never be both at the same time, so he can never be, you know, with his true love. And I really do love this. I really do like this far too much, because it is just one of those things where you just go, it's just the right amount of just weirdness to make me happy. You know, it's just a nice bit of weird and absurdity in there. And since, you know, sci-fi, you can get away with that and just say, well, it's space, shit happens. And yeah, I just kind of like that one. It was fun. And yay. So, yeah. Oh god, is DeviantArt gonna have a fucking field day with this, aren't they? Well, good luck to them. Todd! His name is Todd. So yeah, Todd captures Gary's mother.
You weren't easy to find. Must run in the family. Cheryl Goodspeed. My name is Todd H. Watts, and I run this small power station, the largest in the galaxy.
Got it. So it's small, but huge. Typical male.
Ooh, how does it feel to be my captive?
Am I your captive?
You're chained, aren't you?
I was. The only reason why I let your bounty hunters capture me was because I got bored killing them and I was curious who kept sending them. And now that I know, I'd like to know why.
I'm looking for your son, Gary.
All this work to ask me where my kid is? Don't know, don't care. And now, since you tried to kill me, I'm going to return the favor.
Cheryl. And they have a little team up together.
Wrong foot. I didn't realize you had such a strong opinion about your son. That's something we have in common. What if, just throwing this out there, you helped me find Gary, and in return, I did something for you?
Maybe there is something. I'm looking for dimensional keys.
Never heard of them. But you got yourself a
Which leads into episode 10 and onwards. And yeah, I kind of forgot that Todd existed. I knew it was the kind of thing that they're bringing back, and yeah. But overall, it makes me a little bit disappointed with Todd. Because Todd kind of feels like one of those, you know, subcategory villains. He kind of feels like, you know, the kind of villain who will just pop up in a random episode now and again. But this season, you know, he's almost kind of pitched as one of the main... Well, he's one of the main villains or antagonists of the series, along with Gary's mother. Now, Gary's mother makes a pretty good villain. You know, she has, you know, a connection to Gary being Gary's mother, so there's a lot of, you know, things and dynamics like to explore with that. But with Todd, not really, because, I mean, Todd hasn't really done much anyway. But yeah, in the cliffhanger to episode 10, and which I'll explore further, it's revealed that, you know, Gary's mother initially was an agent who was supposed to just get information from Gary's father, but ended up legitimately falling in love and having a kid with him, which was obviously Gary. But John Goodspeed, Gary's father, finds out about this and just tells her, just get out, leave, go away. You know, he wants nothing to do with that anymore. And in this flashback, she turns around to her, you know, baby son, and she says, it's all your fault, it's all your fault. And it's clear, you know, she blames Gary for her relationship failing with John, and also, you know, blames him for John's death and that, and basically she just blames her son, which is why she has such a distaste for her son, which is what convinces, you know, Tug to basically offer a partnership, and which is what happens. And the deal is that Tug will help shall get the remaining keys into Final Space, and Cheryl will help Todd get Gary. Basically, she promises to deliver Gary to him, to do whatever the fuck he wants with him. She doesn't give a shit. And yeah, that's part of it. And it's revealed that if she does get the keys and releases this new Titan from Final Space, that she'll get John back. Okay. Again, I'm talking about episodes 11 and 12 sort of simultaneously, since they're very much strongly linked. In fact, the last 3 episodes, presumably, I haven't actually seen the last episode yet, are presumably really strongly linked. I mean, they kind of have to be. So she manages to contact Clarence, who is feeling like he is very, you know, underappreciated.
Clarence.
Cheryl, is it really you?
Have you thought about my offer?
Yes, I have.
I mean, he holds this, you know, fake, you know, holiday thing where everyone has to say nice things about each other, though really he just wants people to say nice things about him and why he is, you know, amazing accent. Yeah, when it doesn't really go his way, he decides, you know, to take up Cheryl, who's Gary's mother, on her offer. Saying, you know what, yeah, I'm going to betray not just, you know, my supposed friends, but also my family as well. Yeah, he's gonna betray his his adopted family as well, and just give her the keys, which is exactly what he does.
Much better. Guess who?
Were you followed?
For a bit, but I shook them.
Do you have the dimensional keys?
Yes, my love.
One more left.
Do you know where it is?
The planet Regaro. You did well.
I did it for you. Now let's talk about all the times ahead we have together.
You're not serious, are you?
You and I, we're the same. Liars, cheaters, thieves, hedonists who live for nothing more than our own selfish pleasure.
Don't make me laugh. We're nothing alike. You're a disgusting little toad. I'll never be yours. Got it?
Wait! No, don't go! I abandoned everything I have in the world for you! You can't leave me with nothing!
Oh, yeah, but you see, you left yourself with nothing. Ta-ta.
Because he thinks if he does that, then, you know, he'll get to be with Cheryl and they will, you know, fuck or something, I don't know. But, obviously, she is not interested in Clarence whatsoever. And, you know, basically just pays him for his duties and just fucks off. And he then begs, you know, for Gary and co to give him another chance and let him come with him. Because he nearly kills Fox in this episode. and he says, "Oh, I didn't mean it wasn't deliberate. He wasn't trying to kill Fox." But it kind of doesn't matter. He's kind of went a bit too far. So, you know, Gary and co just leave him. Just leave him stranded there to do whatever the fuck he wants. But he's got no ship. He's just all on his own, and that he's basically. Clarence in this episode has lost everything. And this episode actually got me to feel a bit sorry for him because, other characters have been in this position. You know, Gary has obviously been in this position. Little character has felt like he's being in, he's being in this position before. Pretty much all the characters are being in the position of where they have basically lost everything, whereas Clarence hasn't really experienced that. And in this episode, he finally does. And it does show that, deep down there, and I mean fucking deep, he does care. He does, at least to his adopted kids, he does care. Because he does show, a bit of genuine shit, what the fuck have I done? Remorse at the end for what he has done, because a lot of the reason why he's doing it is because he feels like he's being underappreciated, and he thinks that Cheryl will be the one to appreciate him. Obviously she doesn't. She's just using him like she'd use anyone else, and which has obviously led to this. So yeah, in a way I do feel kind of sorry for him, but he has absolutely brought it on himself, because, he didn't stop to think of anyone else but himself during this, but who hasn't really? Who hasn't? And well done, Final Space. You got me to feel sorry for Clarence, and actually, this episode actually develops Clarence more, as a character, as an actual person, rather than just, I'm the scam artist, I'm selfish, I don't care about anyone but myself. In this episode, you do actually, add more to that and develop them a bit further, which is great. Well done. Again, Final Space is really good at character pieces and developing its characters. So, yeah, that is pretty good. And this leads, obviously, directly into episode 12. Now, episode 12, which I will have to get the name for again, for this episode, which is called The Descent into Darkness. Yeah, I've got my notes here. So, The Descent into Darkness, this episode, obviously, is the confrontation between Gary and his mother. And that's basically all you need to know about this episode. Todd doesn't do a whole lot in this episode, to be honest. For most of this episode, he just sits inside his fucking huge ship. And, just kind of, sits around his spaceship shooting at the Resistance. Yeah.
My God, this is exhilarating. Okay. I gotta stop that. That is just too much fun. All right, prepare to lightfall.
But sir, this'll take us off course.
Oh, heavens, it reclines. Fire! Lightfall.
Oh, I made it!
So, the Resistance are back, and they're just, having a bit of a space fight. Tribal, breaks in and basically, just wins, because Tribal can obviously, always build a resistance and always win a battle, because Tribal... Yeah, never mind Gary, you should just get Tribal to fucking go into Final Space. He would shoot the shit out of all of them and win. So yeah, never mind Gary doing all this. Tribal's going to be the one who is going to save everyone. But yeah, we have a bit of a face-off between Gary and his mother. In this episode. And Future Quinn's also here as well. I would have liked Little Kato to have been there as well, because it would have been interesting to have a thing, or because the whole going, Gary's going on was like, you should have been a mother to me and that, and you were never there, and you're, all this kind of stuff, and it's a lot of back and forths, and you can kind of see where both sides, are coming from with this, because the way Gary sees it is his mother's just utterly despicable and only ever cares about herself, whereas obviously we know, and Gary gets to find out, that she's doing this because she wants the love of her life back at any cost. And obviously from her mother's side, from Cheryl's side, we can see that, basically as soon as Gary came along into her life, she essentially just lost everything. She lost her husband essentially, twice, and that's because she lost him initially when he kicked her out, and then she lost him again when, he sacrificed himself. So, yeah, and the only linking part to this is, obviously, it all started when Gary came around and was born. So that's, her focus of everything that has gone bad in her life is just all focused on Gary. But it would be nice to have a little Kato to go, look, I've lost everything before and that, and but I can still be, more of a parental figure and that than you can be, and he's not, and he's not even my biological child, kind of thing. That would have been nice to do. Just saying, because this feels like one of the things that they could have expanded on but didn't. But still, I really do love this episode, because it shows that him and his mother are similar in quite a lot of ways, because once they want, they will do literally anything, to save the one that they love and care about, which you can see, Gary doing throughout Final Space, and here his mother does, basically the same kind of thing. And it's kind of the point where it's leaning up, and Gary, has a spear, knife, there's a thing that he essentially, pings his mother to the ground on, impales, and she can't go up, and here is the decision where Gary chooses to be better than his mother, because in this situation, if it was Gary there and she'd done that to Gary, because seeing that, his mother would never, maliciously just go and kill her son. She doesn't, she does blame him, but she wouldn't go out, and kill him. She's not on a vendetta to kill him or anything like that, or, it cause him harm in a particular way. She does blame him, but she wouldn't go out of her way like Tog would to, go and harm him or anything. But in this situation, if he was pinned down, she would just leave. She would leave him pinned down there to die. But Gary being Gary, he doesn't do that. He takes her, imprisons her, and I love the fact that he imprisons her with Kevin, and you get to see her suffer, going, no, you can't leave me with him, and it is a nice, sort of role reversal kind of thing. So yeah, the conversation is really good between this, because obviously, we've got both sides. We can see both sides' point of view. Obviously, we're going to be on Gary's side in this, because ultimately, even though we can see where Cheryl is coming from, she is, wrong with what she does. But she also reveals information that her Titan says that Gary's Titan is evil, and so it's just like, well, do we trust her? Do we not? Because by this point, Is she telling the truth? Isn't she telling the truth? And the thing is, from her point of view, she probably is. Because there's less of a reason to lie about something like that. Though then again, she could be lying for this reason or that reason. It's never clarified. But overall, I think this episode is pretty good, and a pretty good penultimate episode. Todd goes down really easily, and again shows that he is kind of, a bit of pathetic sort of villain. And it's episodes like this that make me really miss the Lord Commander. Because, the Lord Commander, he was a villain. He was just a straight up antagonist that you couldn't reason with him and that, 'cause he would always do what he wants. And, Gary's mother is in a similar vein. But, Gary's mother, you can sort of have a conversation and maybe meet a middle ground. Whereas Lord Commander doesn't care. He will kill whoever. Even if he, needs them, he would just kill them if he was in a pissed off mood. But Gary's mother isn't exactly like that. She, in a way, is she a villain? Is she an anti-hero? Yeah, a bit of both. She's very, very human, is what I'm going to say. She's a very, very human, character. I'm glad these, towards this end of the series, you get to see what she has gone through, and, she has developed a lot more. Which is, again, something Final Space does really good, because you see what she has come from. She's basically, gone from having, the love of a life thing to being in the gutter having nothing, and now basically just doing whatever just for one purpose, and that is just to save her husband, to get her husband back. Never mind everyone else. Fuck everyone else. This is who she's going for. Is completely, it's obviously, it's very selfish for selfish reasons. But you know what? That is a very human thing to do. Yeah. So overall, episode 12 sets up things for the finale. And you won't know this, but I haven't seen the finale yet. It actually airs. I'll probably have seen it tomorrow at the time of recording this. So yeah, and I'll just edit this in. There's spoilers going on like this for a bit, but yeah, we'll see how that all pans out, shall we? So the Final Space Season 2 finale. Am I wearing this shirt just to fit in with continuity with the rest of the video, or did I just put it on because I assumed I could get another day out of it? I'll let you decide that one. But anyway, here we are, the season finale of Final Space Season 2, and unlike the first season, which had a pretty much, a very down, melancholy ending, this one is a lot more uplifting. Not to say that there isn't a downer sort of moments in this one, but hey, let's get on with it, shall we? So this one starts off exactly where the previous one ended. So basically, Gary and Co are contemplating, whether they should release Bolo or not, because of what Gary's mum said. And Lil Co actually gives some pretty good advice. Well, sort of. I don't know. We'll just call it advice. I'm not really sure if it's good or not. But he basically just says, look, the person you least trust, do the opposite of what they say. I don't know if that advice is a good thing or a bad thing, but, if someone you really distrust gives you advice or tells you something, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But hey, we finally, getting to go release Bolo. Yay. But before that, Ooh, someone in a ship is shooting them, trying to shoot them down. Who could it possibly be? 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 I think we'll fucking know who it fucking could be.
Oh no.
Oh no. What's the oh no?
It's my dad!
Avocado? He's still alive? Seriously?
Seriously!
You tried to kill me.
Yeah, ex-Avocado. Wow, I totally didn't see him coming back in the season finale. No, totally didn't see that coming. I mean, to be honest, you know, of all the characters it could have been, yeah, he's pretty much the most obvious one to choose, really. So, sorry, Final Space, you didn't really surprise me with that one. Wasn't a big ooh. But he's back. He's still possessed, but he's back. Yay! Also, this episode actually does something I was complaining about a bit in the previous 2 episodes, and that there's a little bit more of a father-ish son dynamic between Gary and Little Cat. So it's very brief, though I don't blame the episode for that, because obviously it's a season finale, it's got a lot it's got to be doing in this. So to be honest, yeah, I was quite happy to sort of have that as more of a dynamic to it. So yeah, they're going to break Bolo, and they've got the 5 keys, but Bolo says there's another key. Maybe Bolo wasn't as trusting as we all thought. Well, sort of. One of them has to make a sacrifice. Again, a sacrifice. Yeah, one of them has to die. And oh boy, have I gone on about death quite a bit in Final Space, where death is not really a finite thing, but whatever. So, as, you know, predictable, the only one who can, you know, logically sacrifice themselves without really having any effect on the team dynamic is...
One of you must give your life.
What? No. Are you crazy? You waited till now to tell us this?
You wouldn't have come. I'm sorry. There is no other way. Every path to Final Space ends with you losing something.
But why does someone have to die?
Because nothing is as powerful as a life. Through your very sacrifice, you become the key.
Okay, well, what if we don't free you?
Then Quinn will die.
I'll be the 6th key.
No, I've got a much better idea. Kevin! Get out here right now!
Yes, Gary?
I need a quick favor. Can you die now?
Right? That was my first thought too, Gary, but Kevin isn't live.
Hooray! Kevin will never die. Bye.
We'll find another way. There has to be another way. I thought I could trust you.
You know, Future Quinn or Nightfall or whatever you want to call her. So yeah, she's going to sacrifice herself and be the 6th key, which will mean Mooncake will be able to break Bolo's prison. And while this is going on, Avocado, still possessed, comes through and fighting shoes. Yeah, I'm kind of getting a bit of an Avengers vibe from this fight, really. Yeah, it's kind of like an Avengers fight, and particularly on another moment, which I'll need the context for. So, while this is, you know, all going on, Tribor basically is trying to, you know, get Gary's mum and that to basically understand, you know, she shouldn't blame her son for everything. And doing this, they go in the, you know, augmented reality chamber thing, and, you know, they see what happened in her life that caused all of this, you know, the moment where Gary's father kicked her out. And this, you know, is just like, yeah, but, you know, if you hang... Tribal says, well, if you still hadn't of, you know, trying to steal the plans from him, you know, and just accepted this is your life and just have a happy life, then none of this will happen. Which is, again, a true thing. That you know, it's just like, yeah. And then they also show what could have been. And this somehow breaks her down. And then, you know, manages to convince her to fight alongside Gary. Which I'm just kind of like, I'm not sure I'm kind of buying that, to be honest, really. I mean, you've gone all this time, you know, blaming Guy Fieri and hating him, and then suddenly you're going to go a complete 180 and, you know, suddenly fight alongside him and be a loving mother or whatever to him. It's just like, it's a bit much, to be honest. I feel like if this had been done a bit more earlier on, then I would have gone, you know, if this, you know, sort of thing, if they started, you know, introducing this in episode 12 a bit more, or even episode 11, and then, you know, just have trinkets of it throughout, and then have this be the climactic bit where she finally decides to fight alongside us, and then I would have went, yeah, alright, but this just seems a bit too rushed. It does just seem a bit too tacked on, and then, you know, they do the whole Avengers pose where you see all the team like, you know, coming together to fight against this evil. Ooh. And yeah, it's pretty much Final Space's version of the Avengers. Yeah, literally is. They even copy the same sort of shots in it. I mean, to be fair, it's a pretty, you know, decent fight, so that's that. And it does give a nice distraction for Quinn to become the final future Quinn. I should clarify, I call her Nightfall. Nightfall to become the final key, and for Mooncake to break Ola's prison, which he does. And the thing is, this entity, you know, this thing as taking over Avocado, is supposed to stop that from happening. So why is he focusing all his efforts on these people there, where, you know, just look up, it's pretty obvious what's happening. Just literally look, it's up there, look. Oh well, it fucking failed. Yeah. And Ash, you know, using a line that was planted in the season earlier on, that is an obvious foreshadowing, it's an obvious moment. She is able to, you know, banish the entity thing, and Avocado is now Avocado again. And he has all of his memories still in that, and yay! So that all, again, felt sort of pointless again. Yeah, it kind of felt pointless again, just to have it be resolved in the next appearance that we see him in. Yeah, seriously, what is up with Final Space and introducing in something that may be an interesting thing, like, you know, Avocado's brought back but his memories are lost. Well, let's bring them back in the very next episode. And let's get rid of him in the next episode as well. Let's bring him back in this episode where he's all possessed, but then he's depossessed by the end of the episode. And it would have been a lot more interesting if he stayed possessed a bit longer. To be honest, you know, if we had a few more episodes, maybe, you know, because you see him, you know, fighting with the son, and, you know, obviously we had that whole thing where he shot him, and he actually shoots him again when he's in the ship in this episode, but it doesn't wound him or anything. He just shoots down the ship that his father's in. So, yeah. I do like the little gag they do at the end, where Avocado goes, oh, I've got both of my dags stacked together. And Avocado just goes, both dags, and I just says, just accept it, just deal with it.
We're gonna get out of here.
I'm working on it. I can't believe both of my dads are together right now. It is tight.
Dads? It's a thing. Go with it.
I kind of like that. It's kind of like that little thing. Although, in a way, it's kind of like Final Space's answer to everything. This thing's happening, yeah, just accept it. Just accept it. Just deal with it. Fuck if it makes sense. Fuck if it's pointless. Just accept it. Just deal with it. Just keep going on with it. Okay, fine, fair enough. But overall, I really enjoyed this finale. It was a really good, solid finale. Is it better than Season 1's? Don't know. Season 1's, you know, had a really climactic bit, whereas this season has been a bit fragmented in its way. But overall, it was a decent finale, and it ends with them actually going into Final Space, saying that they're going to be sealed off in Final Space, you know, forever, to, you know, fight in a war against the evil titans that are possessed or whatever. But Gary gets, you know, his Quinn back, and series ends.
Quinn?
Gary.
So yeah, pretty decent, and it's a pretty good setup for the next season, because honestly, you know, I was wondering while I was watching this finale, there's a good 2-minute bit where everyone's just kind of like celebrating and that, and I was thinking, where's the series gonna go from here? And obviously, you know, it's gonna do what it says in the title, and it's gonna go into Final Space. So yeah, season 3 is actually gonna take place within Final Space, which will be interesting. So yeah, overall, let's talk about my overall thoughts on the second season as a whole. So the second season as a whole is a lot more fragmented than the first season. The first season is basically one big long story. And you could argue that for the second season, but it does have its standalone episodes in there as well. Which is good, because it's nice to have a standalone episode. In fact, one of my favourite episodes of the season, which is episode 4, is a standalone episode, so yeah, I do like some of the standalone episodes. The problem is that a lot of the time, the plot in this one, it feels a lot less important. Like, freeing Below just kind of feels like, oh, well, something they've eventually got to do. It feels, you know, less urgent, you know, less, we've got to, you know, do this now at all costs, you know, we've got to absolutely do this. Before, stopping the Lord Commander, yeah, you couldn't really just sit about with that. You had to, you know, be there and just literally forget about everything else. I mean, as soon as he deviated from that, then that would, you know, cause bad things happen. For example, you know, with Chapter 6, Avocado loses his life until now because of it. So, yeah, but this season, not really as much. There's not huge consequences to things, really, anymore. But this season, I mean, the biggest thing to the whole, you know, dynamic of the team and that breaking up is, obviously, we get the death of Nightfall. But, you know, is she even truly dead? Will she come back at some point? Because there's always the argument to be made that they could bump into Nightfall again, but a past version of Nightfall, because that is fully possible. That's fully possible for that, you know, to happen. Or maybe she'll reappear as, I don't know, something. But yeah, death in this thing is not really a finite thing, which is a problem I've had with the season, is that nothing in it really feels finite. Everything feels like it's just temporary or can be undone and redone. I mean, so far, other than Nightfall, the biggest sort of thing to the series and loss was Clarence, which I was surprised about. And I'm surprised Fox Nash, you know, get over it pretty quickly, to be honest. In fact, I don't think he's even mentioned in this or the previous episode at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's definitely not mentioned at all in this episode. So, yeah, they go over that pretty bloody quickly. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Season 3. The only thing I'd say is, now, at the time of recording this, Season 3 has not been confirmed, I don't think. I could check. I could, you know, probably check after this video, but yeah, if we have a third season, that's all I can say is, Owen Rogers, I've really enjoyed the first 2 seasons, but I think one thing I'd say is basically maybe have take your time a little bit more with this one. It feels like this season was kind of rushed out a little bit more than the first season, because clearly he had a lot of time to plan out the first season from the YouTube pilot to it actually becoming, you know, a season, whereas this one kind of felt like he had a lot less time on his hands. So all I can say is, if Season 3 doesn't come out next year, and we'll have to wait another year. That is fine by me, as quality over quantity is what I'm saying. I'm not saying this season is bad. I would say, it's a really good and really solid season, and there are certain things I prefer about this season from the first season, but it can go vice versa as well. But yeah, that is me done with my review of Final Space Season 2. I hope you've enjoyed it, because fucking hell, this is being a long one. So yeah, tatty bye. Hold that. Oh well, Avocado's being saved. It's a shame. I was gonna go all the way to America, find Olin Rogers, kidnap him, do some stuff to him, probably settle on a blowjob to bring Avocado back, but I guess since I don't need to do that anymore, Antonio Banderas lives in England. If you excuse me. By the way, I'm wearing socks and the ground is wet. Also, I have not worn this hat in 6, 7, 8 years, and it is fucking filthy, and it doesn't really fit, but oh well, fuck it.